Guess who's back? Back again. Brother Ron, tell a friend. Guess who's back and still black? Guess who's back? Welcome, everybody, to another wonderful, entertaining, agitating edition of We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. That's News Free Dixie for the 21st century. I'm your host for this empowerment segment, Brother Ron, also known as R2C2H2, the artivist. And welcome to Black History Month. It has not been canceled. Black History Month ain't going nowhere. Black history ain't going nowhere. It can't be stopped because it's Black history for life. Black history is not only our history, but it's the nation's history. It's American history. So we are here to celebrate the victory, which is to recognize Black history because Black excellence is never down and out for the count. So I'm your host. And before I get started, I want to thank everybody for tuning out, to tune in, to get in where you fit in. Words of the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Human salvation lies in the hands of the creatively maladjusted. Yes, human salvation lies in the hands of the creatively maladjusted. So, with that said, we are here. I hope y'all can hear me. Let me know if I'm coming in with clarity tonight. I think it's very important that I speak on some things I'm not seeing in the news cycle. There's a lot of things I'm seeing in the news cycle that I will touch upon this month. I'll be going live, all the way live for the rest of this month because Black History Matters. We'll be posting content that deals with Black First initiatives. I want to talk about also, we're going to talk about this is a very important year for Black people, but this is also the year of the Black man. We are recognizing, or we should be. I'm really don't know what's going on with us right now because this is the centennial birth years of three Black men, Black kings, Black patriarchs, Black freedom fighters who believed in families, who believe in us, who put themselves in harm's way to free their people. We're going to be talking about this is a centennial birth year of Robert F. Williams, whose birthday is February 26th. Also, Malcolm X, whose birthday is May 19th. And also Medgar Evers, whose birthday is July the 2nd. All three of these Black men exemplifies Black excellence and real Black manhood. And we're going to talk about I don't see any Black, so-called Black media really talking about this is a centennial point. And not only that, this is a significant year for Black people to come out the wilderness, man. This is our time. And I'm going to be talking about in the upcoming episodes and podcasts about what do I mean about that, what is meant about that as it relates to what Brother Ron is coming from. And it's very important to talk about because not only is this year 2025 the centennial birth years of Robert F. Williams, of Malcolm X, of Medgar Evers. This is also the 30th anniversary year of the Million Man March. Whatever you may think about Farrakhan and whatever you think about the Nation of Islam, that is very significant movement. The first Million Man March, which was done, of course, in October of '95, where I believe, over 2 million Black men came together to atone, to refocus, to recalibrate, to reconnect, to stand. But I mean, 30 years later, where are we at right now as a people? So this is very significant. Also, this August will mark the 20th anniversary of Hurricane FEMA Katrina, that trick. So I can't believe it'd be 20 years in August, the Hurricane FEMA Katrina fiasco, doing a hell of a job, Brownie fiasco, right? Or a heck of a job, whatever. We still have Black folks that are unaccounted for from that time period. This is before, Facebook and all that stuff was really big. We were still dependent on 24-hour cable screw news, propaganda by the three major networks. So this is right before, this is on on the eve of the social media breakout with, of course, MySpace and Facebook. So we were still totally dependent on the corporate news matrix for a lot of degrees, right? So I want to, also recognize the 70th anniversary in August will also mark the 70th anniversary of the kidnapping and lynching of Emmett Lewis Till, who was only 14 years old, from Chicago, visiting relatives down in Mississippi, and he didn't come back alive. So we're going to talk about that, how, that's played a role in who we are as a people, and as well as this nation. And this December marks the 70th anniversary of the Montgomery bus boycotts, which happened December 1st, 1955. Ha ha, hush that fuss. Everybody moved to the back of the bus. Rosa Parks said, hell, now, hell to the now. And that started that 381 straight boycott by black people of the Montgomery bus company. And we're going to, all this stuff is important to talk about, right? And there's other anniversaries as well as, but I want to touch upon those over the coming podcast and whatnot, and over the coming year or the upcoming, whatever of this year. This year has been anything but dull and boring. Been some amazing things been happening, been some incredible things been happening. And we ain't seen nothing yet. It's February 1st as I do this, but y'all see how January played out. It's insane stuff from beginning to end. And we are only getting started this year. So I feel like it's very important to talk about these things. And also, this is the year of the 9. 2025 equals up to 9. 9 is the number, it's the complete number, right? It represents the beginning and ending of cycles, the number 9. 9. This is a GOAT year. This is the year where that you do whatever comes to your mind. Think of the most like off the wall, crazy, insane, just like not regular routine thing you could do. If you want to do that, this is the year to do that. This is the year to do what you're going to do. This is the GOAT year. The number 9. See, I'm a life path 9. My birthday or life affirmation day this year, April 23rd, I will turn 45. 4 plus 5 is 9. This is a breakout year. Remember, last time we had a 9-year was 2016. You see, Trump got elected. I was having an amazing professional and personal year that year. I really was like, this things was just like, I just like had all unbelievable success. I was able to just move around, didn't have to worry too much about money. Money was just coming everywhere. I didn't realize the power of that year being it added up to the number 9. Now the next 9 year we're gonna have, it will be in 2034. So we just had the Chinese, the lunar Chinese New Year, whatever, recognized this week, earlier this week. We just came out the New Year's, it's so much stuff. It's like a rebirth, renewal, a recalibration of everything. But anyway, I want to give a shout out to my alma mater, my high school, Overton High School, for honoring me with a distinguished alumni award this past week or this week, because I guess Saturday is the end of the week. So I was honored Tuesday, January 28th at my old high school gymnasium doing the halftime with the boys basketball game. They were playing East High School, Overton High Wolverines, playing East High School, and my school basketball team or program is doing pretty well. 2 years ago, they won the state championship. It was like our first major state championship for my school, which is known for creative and performing arts. It was like, if y'all go back in the day, that show Fame, I Want to Live Forever, Fame. So I was very shocked that they honored me, honestly, with you all. I was very shocked because I have a lot of distinguished classmates that could have, that were very worthy of being honored, but somebody voted. Somebody loves you, baby. somebody voted for me, or people voted for me to be honored, and I'm just flattered by the whole thing. So I just want to play a couple of highlights from that, and we're gonna get to the main part of the podcast, well, which is going to be worth the wait. And I just want to play that part where I got honored. I'm still like in shock that they honored me, man. It's just incredible. But I want to play some snippets of that. And y'all listen to We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. That's We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. I'm just trying to get the right video prepped. And like I said, Black History is not being canceled. We ain't going nowhere. It's not being canceled. We are right here. We right here, baby. We ain't going. We right here. We ain't going anywhere. We right here. So let's play the highlights. And this is We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century.
Next, we have Ronald Hurd II. Mr. Hurd was class in 1998. He's a chef executive artist. He specializes in knowledge learned and applied as wisdom is earned. All things art, visuals, blogs, and music. Last, we have Bernicia Michelle Bell. Class of 2.
I really enjoyed that. I Shaq the Fool, like Shaq the Fool. Hey, I'm Shaquille O'Neal. I did my thing, man. I wasn't even expecting to be honored. I thought it was a practical joke, an early April Fool's joke. When I got the text message, the DM in my Facebook, and I didn't get the email, but the DM in the Facebook and the text message on the cell phone last week, and the idea that they was going to honor me. And it was amazing to be there because like the alumni got a very distinguished group of people as far as alumni is concerned, very talented, gifted, creative people. Actually had a chance to meet the one and only Kia Shine, So Crispy, with Stunner Shades, all that stuff. He wrote Drake's Best I Ever Had. He co-wrote that. Man, been around the block. He's an OG, but he don't look the part of an OG. Cause I always trying to figure out, he went to Overton. Was he a Wolverine? Because I came up as a Wolverine. Overton originally was known as the Rebels, and they changed it back in the mid-90s. So I'm trying to figure out, was he a Wolverine like me, or was he a rebel? And it turned out he was a rebel, but good black don't crack. That guy, he found the fountain of youth. He will be on the show very soon. Kia Shine, he was in the Red One with The Rock recently. Did a lot of movies over the years, a lot of TV shows. Got a following on Instagram. Kia Shine doing his thing. He's shine bright like diamond. That's Kia Shine. So it's good to finally meet him. And shout out to Kara Dangerous, because she told me a while back to get in touch with Kia Shine. I told him I knew Kara Dangerous, that we were friends. And he just lit up. Okay, cool, man. Bet. We got it. We could do this. So anyway, I want to play my acceptance speech that I did. It's like I did it off the cuff, impromptu, and then we'll get to the main thing I want to talk about. But shout out to Overton High School once again for honoring your boy, your guy, your man, brother Ron, R2C2H2 the artivist. I feel like it was revenge of the nerd tonight, because I was not the most popular person in high school. I was a nerd. I was a dork or whatever, very shy, very shy. And you wouldn't believe that since the way you see me talk over the years and stuff. But you never know who's watching you, which is a very fascinating thing. You never know who's watching you. You never know. You never know. Also, shout out to Overton Partners in Education for letting me in. Sister Irene Ford, thank you. We love you madly. So I'm going to get to the part of my speech. And then we'll get on with the rest of the show. For this is We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. And we got this. And you know this, man. Yay. Here. About time. This is Brother Ron, class 98. I ain't been nowhere, man. I ain't been gone. I come back every year doing stuff, and people don't respect a prophet in their own hometown. You know what I'm saying? I was east to reach. You know what I'm saying? If I was out of town, I wouldn't even be here. You know what I'm saying? That's how y'all treat me, but it's all good. My name is Brother Ron Hurd, R2C2H2 the artivist, class 98, baby. Blue and gray all day. When it's tonight, it's blue and gray all day. You understand? Came out the creative and performing arts. Dr. Emily Boo Rook was my teacher, along with Miss Burton, and thoroughly enjoyed coming back, giving back. It's really weird to be honored for stuff I have no idea about. You know what I'm saying? Like I just do what I do, but people are always watching you. Regardless of what you're doing, you think nobody's watching, people are always watching. And I've been blessed that I have a giving spirit, you know what I'm saying? Because there's a difference between being a philanthropist and being a humanitarian. A humanitarian is about giving up your time, gifts, and talents. You be a philanthropist and hate people. It's a tax write-off. Trust and believe. This is what we're living through right now, 2025. It's a tax write-off. You know what I'm saying? You could give $1 billion back to a charity that caused billions and billions of dollars of damage to humanity. So y'all gotta understand and recognize that, you know, your legacy is the people that you invest in and then investing in you. I happen to, you know, my class year was the year that Miss Hedgeman departed, became a righteous ancestor. And the thing about it is the dead is never dead. Energy never dies. Right. It transcends. So like y'all talking about Dr. Hedgeman, y'all keeping her alive. Right. You know, Brother Ray for doing the job that he's doing, he keeping that legacy alive. At the end of the day, it's all about who you inspired and who inspired you. So my thing is, this is a great year, great way to start the year for me. This is the year of the 9. I don't know if y'all know about numerology and all that stuff, but 2025 adds up to the year of 9. 9 is the number of endings and beginnings. It's completion, cycles and whatnot. I'm a life path 9. I'll be 45 this year. 4 plus 5 is 9. I can't lose. I'm playing with God's money, house money. I can't lose. I'm here tonight. Packed out. They're not here to see me, but God sees me. And the folks I need to see, and I'm reaching, they see me too. So my thing is, I come back here every year. It's about, y'all give me short change and it turns out good. You know, if I do a Jimmy Lawson Jamboree Festival, where we try to inspire people, because Jimmy Lawson was the first high school band director in schools for Black children back in the 20s at Manassas. He did that as a volunteer. He took his best high school students. He's credited being the first person in the history of the world to teach jazz studies in a formal educational setting. That's a Black man dealing with kids from North Memphis. He did that. Well, that's being a volunteer. That was the nucleus of one of the greatest swing bands of the era. He was bigger than Duke Ellington, Count Bass, and all the guys. He owned and flew his own airplanes at the time when America did not want to teach Black folks how to fly airplanes. This back in the Great Depression. The man had walk around money he could buy an airplane worth $500,000. But he would always come back to Memphis and Manassas to do free concerts and musician clinics for the kids. He was taken out of here on questionable circumstances back July 12, 47 up in Oregon. So we think he was food poisoning. But he's been buried in Elmwood Cemetery since 1947. And Nat D. Williams, one of our great educators and Black radio pioneers, said let his grave be an inspiration for Black people in Memphis. This is brother took kids from North Memphis to the heights of the musical profession and could live anywhere, but chose to live among his people and give back to his people. So that's what I've been doing with the Jimmy Lawson Jamboree Festival Week since 2017. You know, I talked to a good doctor here. I mean, people kind of, whatever, you know, Quinn, you saw what we did last year. It's all about love, man, because my thing, I might not have the biggest bank account, but my heart is bigger than any bank account on this planet. So my thing is, don't forget that we all got a part to play. Like Dr. King said, the only thing to be great, required of greatness is to serve. Just serve. Give the best of your talents and your abilities, and God will bless it 10,000 folds. I'm thankful for being selected among this great company of people. And in the words of the late great Nipsey Hussle, the marathon continues. Thank you. What a wonderful way to celebrate people, to give them their flowers where they can smell them. And thank you, Overton High School and everybody that was involved in honoring not only me, but also, believe 16 of my peers in this way. And I was able to enjoy the first time. I never attended a basketball or football game when I was going to high school. Missed out on a lot of things, but it was amazing to attend two basketball games. The girls played first, they won. The boys played last, and they lost. It was close. It went to overtime, but they lost by 10 points. They were down at halftime, but came all the way back to tie the game at the end of regulation, and they lost in overtime by 10. But 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, they won the state championship, their first state championship we ever won in any of our major sports. Excuse me. That was the first state championship in basketball, and it was very surprising because we actually had some pretty good players when I was there. Yeah, like Marcus Moody and Jamie Rosser, Jamie Ross or something like that. Jamie Ross or something. Ross, but Marcus Moody actually played at the University of Memphis. That great. I think they underachieved. Memphis team with Tick Price, the coach, before Calipari came on the scene. Tick Price was more interested in chasing skirts than chasing championships. It seems like, and they brought in Calipari, and y'all know the rest is history. But that team was loaded with some great Memphis talent. Marcus Moody, also Paris London, who was a Hamilton High School standout. The Hamilton High School produced years ago the great Todd Day for the Arkansas Razorbacks. Memphis is a basketball town. We got a unique basketball legacy. Of course, Penny Hardaway, all those great grit and grind Grizzly teams over the years and all that stuff. Anyway, let's get back to what we need to talk about. Get back to the essence. Why are we talking about what we're talking about today or tonight, rather? This is a chance to celebrate. Three black wise men, three black brothers from another mother. It's all about putting black first. Strong black family men, black patriarchs. Robert F. Williams from Monroe, North Carolina. You have Malcolm X, Malcolm Little. You know, that guy. Detroit Red, Malcolm X, though, with L. Hodge, Malik Shabazz, something like that. I might have got it wrong, might have left out the L, but y'all know what it is. It's not a loss, it's a learn, baby. You got Medgar Wiley Evers, World War II veteran, part of the Red Ball Express, fighting against Hitler and fascism, then fighting apartheid and Jim Crowism at home, but fighting Hitler and fascism abroad. Soldiers, every single last one of them. Their life affirmation days, heavenly life affirmation day, and this year, 2025, will mark 100 years for each man featured in this photo thingy. Robert F. Williams, February 26, 1925. Malcolm X, May 19th, 1925. And Medgar Evers, July 2nd, 1925. And why is there no mention in so-called black media about these amazing men? You know, the country is hyped up about celebrating 2 years from now with we got 250th anniversary. Well, I mean, like 300. What is it? For the independence of this country, whatever. They got the big thing coming up in 2026. I believe it's 2026. Um, why are we not marking the greatness of these men? I thank God, the universe, so God, and the righteous ancestors for sending these soul brothers down to us for a limited time. Now, the only exception would be Robert F. Williams. He actually lived to be in his 70s. I believe he died October 15th, 1996. And Rosa Parks did his eulogy. Rosa Parks was a big fan, friend, admirer of Robert F. Williams and what he was able to do. I remember listening to an interview that Robert F. Williams did a little before he died, before he passed away. He talked about how he wanted to make Monroe, North Carolina, where he's from. He wanted to be that. He wanted that to be Black people's Mount Vernon. When you talk about Mount Vernon, you think about George Washington, a founding father of this country, the first president under this current constitution. That George Washington, he saw himself as a George Washington-like figure, Robert F. Williams. He's not really talked about that much, and that's why I want to do this show, because he should be a household name. His name should have as much reverence as a Malcolm X, as a Medgar Evers, because he did some phenomenal work. Because what I'm talking about, Robert F. Williams, he was the real deal, man. And I'm just going to keep it short. Robert F. Williams was truly operating behind enemy lines, right? He, like Medgar Evers, was a World War II veteran. He was a Black Marine, which was rare back then. The Marines, they didn't want to have Black folks, whatever. But he was a Black Marine. He was very skilled at martial arts as well as handling a gun. Man was like, you didn't want to mess with Robert F. Williams. He was like, if F around and found out was a person, that was he, Robert F. Williams. But also, he was very good at communicating. He was the president of the local NAACP at one point. He created a gun club with brothers, and also they trained the sisters. The sisters were trained in how to handle a gun, as well as in martial arts, I believe. His wife was the one and only Mabel Williams. That was his wife, his sweetheart, his ride or die, all that stuff. And I wish that the movie Queen and Slim was based on their story versus this fictionalized Black Lives Matter trauma porn that was produced. Because I remember when Queen and Slim came out, I was like excited to see the movie. And I believe this was like Black Friday. I went to see this Black Friday of 2019. And I went to the movie theater, the Paradiso in Memphis, off of popular Minute Hall, the Paradiso. And by the end of the movie, before the movie was over, it was like packed with all Black people. This is at Friday night, Black Friday night, 2019. Nothing but Black people, packed out. And before it ended, you saw, y'all, if y'all seen the movie, y'all know what I'm talking about. People start booing the screen, start throwing things, start walking out in protest. They did not like that ending. I wish that Black history was really told by Hollywood, because instead of them embellishing stories and making crap up, if you told the truth about Black people in our story, you'll realize that we the real X-Men, Justice League, we the real Superman, Batman, all that stuff. We are the real ones. You know what I'm saying? And Robert F. Williams was a real one. Like I said, he was the president of the local NAACP down in Monroe. He had a gun club. They practiced martial arts. They got into it with the Klan. North Carolina probably was like the biggest Klan state at one point. They had thousands of Klan. Where he lived at, a huge majority of the white population were in the Klan or associated with the Klan, including law enforcement. So it was no thing for Robert F. Williams and his people to get into gunfights with the Klan, even at their home. They got into so many gunfights that their insurance companies dropped their policies, because their houses and cars kept on getting shot up by the Klan and whatnot and their supporters. But Robert F. Williams said something in one of the last interviews he did. He said something that was really interesting. He said, when we was fighting the Klan, we never lost nobody. When we was practicing self-defense, he didn't lose one person. Think about, we tell about the civil rights movement. We think about Emmett Till, the three civil rights workers, Swerner, Cheney, and Goodman, Freedom Summer. You think about the assassinations of Malcolm and Medgar and Dr. King. And here this guy is, who saw himself as the Black George Washington, who saw Monroe, North Carolina as the Mount Vernon for Black liberation and Black Just Us and Freedom, he said we never lost one person. When we fought back, we didn't lose nobody. And I want to just bring this message home because Robert F. Williams wrote a book that should be read by everyone called Negroes with Guns. He wrote that book. He was an inspiration for Huey P. Newton and the other co-founders of the Black Panther Party for self-defense out in Oakland in the Bay Area. But Lowndes County, Alabama had the original Black Panther Party associated with the one and only Kwame Ture. They was lock and loaded or loaded and locked down in Lowndes County. They was getting get buck down in Lowndes County, Alabama for their mama. They was doing country grammar. You know what I'm saying? But Dr. King was kind of at odds with his philosophy. But the thing y'all know about Dr. King kept black dudes armed around him. Yeah, I said it. Dr. King kept armed black men around him. Case in point, he completed James Meredith March Against Fear. James Meredith was the first black person to be admitted into Ole Miss and to graduate that we know of. Like, he was the first. You can look at him, he black, or he's classified as colored black. And the federal government had to come in there with troops and stuff to get him into school. Some white folks lost their lives, including a journalist from France, I believe, lost his life when they're trying to get James Meredith into Ole Miss. Medgar Evers wanted to become a lawyer. He was trying to get into Ole Miss. He couldn't get in, but he helped James Meredith get in. But James Meredith was a civil rights icon, and he was doing a march against fear, a one-man march into Mississippi. He got shot on the highway by a sniper, so he couldn't complete the march. So Dr. King and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, along with people like SNCC, like Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture, and his right-hand man we know as Mukasa Dada, the great Mukasa Dada, they complete the march for James Meredith. But what they don't tell you in the narratives is that Dr. King had armed black security detail, courtesy of the Deacons for Defense from Louisiana. They were helping guard Dr. King and the VIPs. I actually know a guy named Dr. Kobe Smith, who's one of the co-founders and leaders of the Memphis Invaders. There's our version of the Black Panther Party for self-defense in Memphis back in the day. He was a part of the March Against Fear. He talked about how it was like the March of the Absurd, because here you had their march and Dr. King and the supporters march with Dr. King, had the Deacons for Defense, covering Dr. King's six and all that stuff. So he had security detail. You had the FBI, the state troopers, all them marching. You had the Klan. They were marching as well. Everybody was marching behind each other, on the side of each other. Uh, and, and Dr. King, and I'll tell another story that I know. I mean, I'm telling you stories from people that were there. And I remember I had a conversation. I used to go down to Jackson, and before I would leave Jackson, I'll try to check in with the one and only Charles Evers, who was the big brother of Medgar Evers. I'll try to check in with him. And on no scheduled visit, just me popping up, trying to catch him, because he was running a radio station down in Jackson, in the Jackson area. So I'll just pop in when I was in Jackson. I remember one time we was having a conversation, and somehow we brought up Dr. King, and Charles Evers, just the big brother of Medgar Evers, who lived to be almost 100 years old. He died during the COVID year of 2020 in the summer at the ripe old age of 97. And this around the time, he died around the same time as Reverend T.T. Vivian, one of Dr. King's closest lieutenants, as well as civil rights icon John Lewis. They all died in that summer around the same time. But they disrespected Charles Evers. The NACP did not run any obituary tribute like they did for C.T. Vivian and John Lewis. For Charles Evers, I think that's a crime shame, because he got a New York Times obit, which is greatly deserving. But Charles Evers was a G. No, Charles Evers was a gentleman gangster. He was a World War II veteran, like his brother Medgar. They both graduated from Alcorn State, I believe, when they came back from the war. But Charles Evers was no joke, man. Charles Evers went to Chicago, was playing with the gangster life. You know what I'm saying? Running stuff in Chicago. he was going toe and toe. He was standing 10 toe down with them Italians and all that. But when his brother got killed or slain or assassinated in Mississippi, Charles Evans caught a flight back down south. Man brought guns on the plane. This is a black man. He brought guns on a plane, on an airplane. It's so much different now, post 9/11. But this dude brought guns on an airplane, ready to go to war in Mississippi, ready to put those guys who got his brother in the ground, having them push daisies. Ended up taking his brother's place in the NACP. Ran and became, like, I guess, the first black mayor of a Mississippi town since Reconstruction. And it's kind of like, I think, the first black mayor of a mixed town, because you had Mound Bayou. So I think he was the first. This happened back in the late 60s. He got all types of awards and accolades. He also was a political maverick. First with Democrat, Republican, independent, Republican, whatever. And he was a true diehard staunch Trump supporter. He supported Donald Trump. Like, it was a lot of controversy when Donald Trump came down for the opening of the Civil Rights Museum in Mississippi. People wanted to protest, but Charles Evans met with Donald Trump. That was during his first term, shook his hand or whatever, and Donald said some great things about Charles Evans and the Evans family. So miss me with the Trump stuff, okay? But anyway, getting back to the point, Charles Evans, this is the big brother of Medgar Evers. He told me, well, Ron, Dr. King used to run. He didn't walk. He used to run to my home. He stayed with me. He would say, well, Charles, I feel so comfortable. I feel so secure because you got all the guns and goons. And then Charles Evans, like in the movie, he reached into his desk drawer, pulled out his revolver. He said, Ron, I believe in the 3 Gs. God, guns, and goons. I love that. But anyway, Robert F. Williams believed in God, guns, and goons too. He's getting a shootout with the Klan, then lose one person. Then one day, it was a race riot that happened because you had the Freedom Riders coming through. And Robert and his people said, we're going to hold them down. We're not going to let them get beat up or even worse, done worse by mob violence, because they'll come into deep Klan territory, because North Carolina was Klan deep. Like I said, where Robert F. Williams lived, a majority of the white folks were Klans people. And they compromised law enforcement and everything. So what they said, they held down on Freedom Riders. There was a race riot that popped off. A white couple who were anti-black were in the black part of the town with the race riot popped off. Robert F. Williams saved their lives. He forced them into his home for their own protection. And then once everything kind of, simmered out a little bit, he allowed them to leave. But the powers they think they be, but they ain't, said that he kidnapped the white couple. So he became an enemy of the state. He was public enemy #1 of the FBI, because kidnapping is a federal thing, I guess. Since the Great Depression and all them. Think about Machine Gun Kelly and all them guys used to kidnap people for ransom. It became a federal thing. So the FBI was involved. So Robert F. Williams' life was on the line. So him and his family had to leave not only the state of North Carolina, but also the country. And I want to shout out, I knew about Robert F. Williams for years, right? I just had so much respect for him and Mabel, his wife. And come to find out, my blood cousin, Julian Mayfield, a great Renaissance man, a poet, a writer, actor, playwright, whatever we'll call it. Just a Renaissance man. He was the speech writer for President Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana. His wife, Dr. Anna Livia Cordero, was the personal physician of Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois. She actually, they were real close to Maya Angelou, Dr. Maya Angelou, where her son got into a horrific motorcycle accident in Africa before he started college. It was my cousin-in-law, Dr. Anna Livia Cordero, who saved his life, who preserved his life. These are my people, man. This is what I'm. So this is not a fluke that I do what I do. It's in my blood. It's in my DNA. So my cousin Julian Mayfield, who used to help get guns down to North Carolina for Robert. They were working with a gangster out in New York, and they would get guns down into North Carolina for Robert and his people. My cousin, using his car, helped get Robert F. Williams and his family out of North Carolina. He drove them to Canada, and through some other ways and means, they were able to get down to Cuba. And Robert F. Williams started a thing called Radio Free Dixie in Cuba. He was a guest of the state of Cuba. He was a guest of Fidel Castro and Che Guevara, and they let him run a radio program called Radio Free Dixie. And I say News Free Dixie. That's me paying tribute to Robert F. Williams. And his thing was the broadcast, because his broadcast could reach the United States. Cuba's just 90 miles from Miami. That's why that Cuban Missile Crisis was a crucial thing. It's just 90 miles away from Miami. So he was able to get his broadcast out there to the States. And he was trying to incite enlisted black men in the United States military to lead an insurrection against the government. He wanted to incite enlisted black men to lead an insurrection. Not that J6 crap y'all think is an insurrection, but a real one against the United States of America, United States of America, as some people would call it. And he ended up moving from Cuba to being a guest of the state of China. There's a picture of Robert F. Williams with Chairman Mao, the leader of China. So he was able to go from Cuba to China. And he was like a hero to grassroots black revolutionaries back home. He was a friend of Malcolm X, and he was friendly with Dr. King. But think about it. Both Dr. King and Malcolm X was taken out of here at the age of 39. They didn't make it out of the 1960s. Robert F. Williams lived to be 70 years old. Medgar Evers got killed at 37. Robert F. Williams lived to be 70 years old. And he touched upon this fact in one of his last interviews. You could watch this on YouTube, I think. And he was saying, well, they don't talk about me because I survived. I made it. Everybody else is dead, but I made it. I made it. I'm supposed to be dead. He didn't say it like that, but he basically was saying, look at all the people that he came up with, his peers. A lot of them got killed. They didn't make it to 40. He made it to 70 years old. And they don't talk about him. Like they named streets after Malcolm and Medgar, but they got killed. They ain't gonna name a street after Robert F. Williams because he survived and thrived. And I'm gonna say this: he was homesick for the United States, of course. So he made a backroom deal. I guess I would call it a backroom deal with the State Department, with the U.S. government, whatever. He gave them the intel they needed for China. So Richard Nixon became the first sitting president to really meet with China, to normalize relationships with China while president. And he got that because of the help of intel from this black man named Robert F. Williams that history does not acknowledge. Now, Robert F. Williams made that deal. He got back home. He had his day in court. The famous trial lawyer, William Kunstler from New York, was his lawyer. Charges were dropped or dismissed, whatever. Him and his wife ended up working at the University of Michigan. They were, considered like scholars and the foremost experts on China. So, I mean, that story was a happy ending. His wife died, I believe, in 2014. I wrote an email of my condolences to wish her well. And her son, who was a minister, he read my words of reflection at his mom's funeral. Had a chance to talk to him, but he passed away not too long ago. I think he was dealing with Lou Gehrig's disease. So I think both of their sons are deceased. And they still got descendants and stuff like that, from my understanding. So I believe both of their sons are deceased. But anyway, I say all this to say, this is why I did my podcast tonight. I want to talk about Robert F. Williams because we don't talk enough about this man. And he wrote a book called Negroes with Guns, Negroes with Guns. It should be read. And my cousin helped him, Julian Mayfield. I want to talk about my cousin because it's very important to me that we see these examples of black men doing courageous things. I can't think of any black men in entertainment or on the world stage right now that exhibit this type of bravery. How many black male celebrities you think could be this brave? The way these men, they weren't millionaires. They were not millionaires. I believe I talked to Malcolm's nephew, Ronell Collins, who runs the Ella Collins Malcolm X house up in Roxbury. This is the house that was owned by his mom, Ella Collins, who was Malcolm's big sister. She was the one that financed his trips to Mecca and places like that. She was her brother's advocate. Loved her brother dearly. Saw great potential for her brother. So she really put the money behind his, being able to become this international influence. Um, he said that his uncle took a vow of poverty, for the cause. And I believe it because I remember I looked at a documentary about Dr. John Henry Clark. I believe Wesley Snipes was involved in the production of it. And Dr. John Henry Clark was a researcher. He was part of Malcolm's research team because Malcolm was an in-demand debate person, a debater. And he was very popular with the Harvard University crowd. He had as a team of crackpot researchers like Dr. John Henry Clark. They helped research information for him to present in these debates. And he talked about how they was having coffee at a place, I think it was a coffee shop, and that this guy who represented Orthodox Sunni Islam. Sunni Islam is the majority of Islam practice, I believe, Sunni. He was a representative of the Orthodox Sunni Islam. I think he was from the Middle East. He offered Malcolm somewhere between, I can't remember, like it was a high number. I believe Dr. John Henry Clark either said like $2 to $3 million, somewhere in that number, maybe $2.5 million. Malcolm just turned him down flat. He looked at the guy and said, "Look, I'm turning him down," and just continued the conversation they were having before that. Uh, what do you do with a person that would turn down $2.5, $3 million? How can you buy that person? And this is like $2.5, $3 million back in the 1960s, right? So how much would that be in inflation times today? This man turned down that large amount of money for something that he believed in that was greater. He believed in the liberation of his people, and they took him out of here. And Malcolm X is connected to my cousin Julian Mayfield. When Malcolm used to visit Africa, in particularly Ghana, he would stay with my cousin and his wife, Dr. Anna Olivia Cordero. Malcolm would stay with them. And I remember I talked to their son, Raphael. We talked, and he told me how he one time jumped in Malcolm's lap. Then, he's a kid. And Malcolm didn't like that too much, but he said Malcolm was extremely shy. You think about Malcolm, we think about him in the public imagination, in our consciousness, we think of him being a firebrand, being very outspoken, very unapologetic about it. But if you talk to people that actually knew the man off the stage, like people like my cousin Raphael or Baba Dick Gregory, they'll say that he was very shy, very quiet, uncomfortably so. And my cousin Raphael said that his mom, who loved Malcolm X, there's a picture of Dr. Anna Olivia Cordero with Malcolm X. I'm gonna try to find it. This is my cousin-in-law. I come from some very like I do these things too as a way to preserve the history because a lot of my relatives are not familiar with this history, and I just came upon this history just by living my life, doing my God work, and I just want to preserve this for my people, but as well as future generations need to know about these amazing men and women. I'm gonna show my cousin-in-law with Malcolm. And this is very important to talk about. That's why this Black History ain't gonna die, y'all. Let me see something. Trying to show a better picture. But my people, man, I come from revolutionaries, man. I come from revolution. I come from the real deal. That's why I'm cut the way I'm cut, I guess. I come from the real deal. And I'm proud of these people, man. Ancestors are never dead. You can call your ancestors. Call them. They're waiting to hear from us, man. and they ready to go to war with us, man. And I say, it's like I tell people all the time, mostly dead people help me more than anybody. It's the dead, but the energy never dies. I don't believe in death. Energy never dies. So I want to show this picture of my cousin. This is we all be cousin-in-law. News Free Dixie for the 21st century. Yep, yep, yep. Got this picture. I'll find it. There she goes. That's Dr. Anna Livia Cordero, my cousin-in-law, along with Malcolm X. See how he's smiling? How they smiling? They love each other. But my cousin Raphael, her son, told me, he said that his mama told Malcolm, you know you're a dead man walking, right? You know you're a dead man, right? You know they're gonna get you. And Malcolm was just like, it's like at that point, Malcolm just accepted his fate that he was a dead man walking. And he wanted, what he said is a time for martyrs now, right? So he died a martyr's death in front of his family. I don't want y'all like to people that are very harsh against Malcolm's family recognize that he was killed, assassinated in front of his family, man, his whole family. I mean, his immediate family. I mean, his 4 daughters saw their daddy taken out of here. His wife, who was pregnant with his twin daughters, she saw her man knocked down. Those babies in her womb felt that trauma. So please, be easy, man. Y'all want too much from these people. Be easy. They saw their father assassinated. It caused all types of generational trauma, man. So much so that back in 95, 30 years ago, one of Malcolm's daughters was caught up in the plot to eliminate Farrakhan. I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember reading about it in the Final Call. Her boyfriend was like a white Jewish guy, was an FBI guy. He started putting these things in the air about getting rid of Farrakhan because he got rid of her father, Malcolm X. So some way the case was broken. Farrakhan had a sit down with Betty Shabazz, Dr. Betty Shabazz, Malcolm's widow, at the Apollo Theater. I believe was moderated by Al Sharpton. This is 30 years ago, right before the Million Man March. Dr. Betty Shabazz, I believe, she addressed the Million Man March along with Queen Mother Moore. That's her name. Now, Baba Dick Gregory swears that, may he rest. He said that she the one that set up Marcus Garvey, who was recently pardoned by Joe Biden. It was a black woman, Queen Mother Moore, that set up Marcus Garvey, according to Baba Dick Gregory. And Queen Mother Moore lived a long time because she lived from the days of Marcus Garvey to be able to be president at the Million Man March. That's impressive. And so that's my cousin, Dr. Anna Livia Cordero, my cousin-in-law, along with brother Malcolm X. Dear friends. So I always had a thing about Malcolm X, Robert F. Williams, and Medgar Evers growing up, and I have all types of connections to all 3 of them. So with that said, I don't see too many black media personalities talking about these men, the significance of this year. But this is the year of the black man. It's time for black men to take our rightful place back at the table. What is going on right now is a dysfunction of the system trying to eliminate black men. I didn't say black males. We got black males. I mean men, people who took an oath to provide and protect, to lay down their lives as they lay down the law for the upliftment and the empowerment of their people. That is what I'm talking about. That is what's missing in this time. There are no real black men in leadership positions. And when I say black men, yes, of course, there's males, there's men, but I mean black men that stand on black business. I don't see any black men in the political arena that advocates for black American natives. Now, there's a new term in the lexicon. Excuse me, just dealing with some throat issues. I'll get that one. We got ADOS, American Descendants of Slaves, right? We got FBA, Foundation on Black Americans. Now, Brother Ron got this. This is what Brother Ron is presenting to you all. February the 1st, 2025. So when we talk about the origins of this term, it came out of Brother Ron. This is Brother Ron. Black American Native, Black American Natives, Black American Native Descendants. Bands. Bands make them dance. Bands make them pay. Reparations on today. Bands make them pay. Reparations on today. So Black American Natives, that's why I call myself. I'm Black American Native. Trace my lineage all the way back to the beginning of this republic. I could name the names of ancestors or ancestors that fought in the Civil War, fought in the American Revolutionary War, all that stuff. And somebody said something. You said France Fanon is a member. Okay, add him into it. That's interesting because it's something about people born in 1925. I'm gonna say it's something interesting because I know the great jazz drummer. We just lost a great jazz drumming legend, GOAT. Roy Haynes passed away November 12th. This of last year, he was 99 years young. He made it to March of this year, he would have been 100. And I was looking forward to celebrating him because I had a chance to meet the great Roy Haynes on his birthday weekend back in 2016. He was playing some gigs at the Blue Note in New York, the Blue Note Club, and he had guitar legend Pat Metheny playing with him as well. I had a chance to meet Roy Haynes and present him with a Jimmy Lunsford Legacy Award. And what's unique about Roy Haynes is that his first music teacher, Herbert Wright, who was a neighbor of his, killed one of my music heroes, the late great James Reese Europe, the jazz lieutenant, the band director of the Harlem Hellfighters jazz band for the New York National 15th Guard, National Guard, right? New York National, the 15th, they came like the 369th, the Harlem Hellfighters. He stabbed his boss, James Reese Europe, during a concert they had in Mechanics Hall up in Boston back in May of 1919. He served about 8 years in prison. End up staying in Boston and Roxbury, where Malcolm ex sister, she lived in Roxbury. Louis Farrakhan grew up in Roxbury, very powerful black community historically up in Boston, Roxbury, and that was his neighbor who taught him how to play drums. Herbert Wright came from the famous Jenkins Jazz Orphanage down in Charleston, South Carolina. A lot of jazz greats came out that orphanage, including the great Cat Anderson, who hit all them high C's on the trumpet for Duke Ellington. Just brilliant musicians. So it's interesting. But Roy Haynes would have made it to March of this year. He would have been 100 years young. So, and France Fanon, I read some stuff about here. And the CIA got rid of France Fanon at the Bethesda Naval Hospital. He came over here for treatment, and they got. I believe he had leukemia. Leukemia, excuse me. He talk right, but let me look through this. So much stuff going on. Yep, Fred Fanon, born July 20th, 1925. Name y'all please in the comment section or through this live, drop names of famous black men born in 1925. I think we're on the trend here, but I am focusing on Malcolm X and Medgar Evers and Robert F. Williams. I think that's very important. I know that's very important. Said Randy Weston always talked about James Reese Europe. You sure did. You know what? I was friends with Dr. Randy Weston. I met him at the end. I gave him my book, Jazz Lieutenant, the James Reese Europe Jazz Lieutenant book that I wrote and illustrated back in 2005. I met Dr. Randy Weston. He was doing a tribute concert to James Reese Europe, I believe at NYU. And I believe this was back in the fall of 2014, if I'm not mistaken. It was either 2014 or 2015. And I had a chance to interview him back in 2016. Let's see, I'm just getting these messages. Try to make sure. Can y'all hear me? Let me know. You see me? Can you hear me though? So Dr. Randy Weston was cool. I love Dr. Randy Weston. I visited him in his brownstone up in Brooklyn for a couple hours. I interviewed him for my upcoming Jimmy Lunsford documentary. And I remember I felt him when he passed away. He passed away Labor Day weekend of 2018. And I felt when he passed away because I thought about him. And Dr. Randy Weston would say, he said, run, run. America is Africa. No, Dr. Randy Weston, his dad was from Panama and his mom was from Virginia, and they were both Garveyites. They were followers of Marcus Mosiah Garvey. So Dr. Randy Weston was a powerful. He met his beautiful bride, his wife. He spent a lot of time in Africa. He met her in Senegal. His wife that he had when he passed on, I believe she was from Senegal, France or whatever, one something like that. But also, Dr. Randy Weston is unique because his Jagnas, right? His two Jagnas were legends. Thelonious Monk, one of my favorite musicians of all time, and Langston Hughes. They trained Dr. Randy Weston. They were his Jagnas, his master teachers. Langston Hughes loved Randy Weston so much that he put in his will that he had to play his funeral. I think he paid him union scale, something like that. Dr. Randy Weston wrote an autobiography about his life. Thank God he's a righteous ancestor. Love Dr. Randy Weston. He was very passionate about James Rich Europe, this small world. Yes. Thank you. You can hear me. Thank you. I'll just make sure I come in clear. I don't want that to be too clippy. He said, oh, I can't hear. Thank you for listening, for consuming, for letting it reach you. Whatever I have to give, I love it. We love you madly. Thank you, Nori. Appreciate you. Did you see Venus next to the moon? No, I'm inside right now, but there's a lot of weird stuff going on in 2025. Just stay alive. There's gonna be some interesting things popping off, and we only at the beginning of the year. Did I ever meet Gordon Parks? I was close. I'm gonna tell you why. I met Ernest Withers, Dr. Ernest Withers, the so-called, the guy that was a famous civil rights photographer who was an FBI informant. That Ernest Withers. I met Ernest Withers over 20 years ago in his studio on Beale Street, which is now his gallery. It's the Withers Collection and Gallery. And I remember I just called him, looked this number up in the phone book. He answered the phone. I said, sir, can I come and visit and check in? He said, yeah, come on down. So I came on down there. We started talking because he was a very prolific photographer. He got so many. I mean, he took pictures of the Emmett Till trial of the brothers who killed Emmett Till. He took that famous picture of Emmett Till's great uncle Mose Wright pointing bravely towards the white man who kidnapped and killed his great nephew. And I asked him, I said, have you ever met Gordon Parks? He looked at me and said, have I ever met Gordon Parks? He reached into his wallet. He had a picture of him, Gordon Parks, and Russell Simmons at Gordon Parks, one of his birthday parties up in New York. That's the closest I ever met Gordon Parks through Ernest Withers, through his photo. So, with that said, I want to encourage people to not wait on. See, now my thing is, people got this Trump derangement syndrome about the canceling of Black history. I never learned Black history in school. I never did. I'm gonna tell you, I never learned about Black history in school. There's a lot of things I never learned in school. I learned outside of school. The reason why I know about Black history when I was a kid was because I was going to the school library, on to the public library, and check out books about Black people. Or when I was getting kept by my grandmother, my mom's mom, the late great Hattie Mae Taylor, and also my grandfather, the late great Arthur Taylor Sr. She had a World Book Black History Encyclopedia, one edition from the 70s. When I was in elementary, I would take that big Black history book, that World Book Encyclopedia did, would sit on the floor of my grandma's living room because I couldn't sit on the couch because they had the plastic on it. It was only for special guests and relatives to sit on the couch. I couldn't sit on the couch. So I sat on the floor will open that book and read that book for hours as an elementary school kid. And that's how I learned about Medgar Evers and Paul Robeson, the Four Pillow Massacre. So many different things about Black America I learned from that book alone, as well as listening to the elders talk about their experiences growing up in Jim Crow South and all that stuff, or serving in the military back in the time, back in the day. And so I never learned Black history from school. It was always after school on my own. I was a self learner. I remember when I was in third grade, and I didn't care about making the honor roll, or even, man, I would just do weird things. I said, how did I get by? Like, I had this second grade teacher, this Black woman, beautiful Black woman named Miss Bolden, and I would actually do my homework and never turn it in. For the whole year, I would do my homework and never turn it in, and I got passed. She passed me. Third grade, I wasn't no honor roll student. I was just making. I was an average student. And I remember when the teacher asked the class, "Who do y'all think is the smartest person in this room?" A lot of people said it was me. And this white boy who was my best friend at the time, his name was Sean. I thought he was my friend. Oh, they fooled me too. He said, "How's he the smartest person? He doesn't even make honor roll." And he makes honor. He made the honor roll all the time. It was this Black kid named Ruben. I ain't gonna never forget this. He said, "But he knows all the presidents." And then everybody started shaking their head. Yeah, he know about the presidents. I used to check out books about presidents of the United States, read biographies on Andrew Jackson and stuff like that about different presidents. So they knew that I was a unique person back then, but I may not have always made the honor roll. I didn't start really making the honor roll till my fourth grade, as a dare to myself, and I can make the honor roll. I started making the honor roll because I think a lot of us are like that though. We're not challenged by the system like we should be, and so we start getting too comfortable, getting a rut and stuff like that. So thank God I had enough sense to challenge myself, to have enough intellectual curiosity to pursue these things outside the classroom. So the Black history piece, people talk about, well, they ain't gonna teach. They never taught Black history. School is only qualified to teach reading, writing, and arithmetic. Knowledge of self is is not learned in school. You learn knowledge of self from your home, from your village, from your people. Knowledge of self is a thing that should be taught at home at an early stage. Your foundation, in order to succeed and excel in this life, at your foundation, you got to have knowledge of self. You got to know not only who you are, but who's your people are and where they come from. If you don't have that, then I mean, it's only so far you can get, because that inspires and confidence. You know, when you know your ancestor stories. If we don't tell their stories, they get no glory. So it inspires a confidence in you. It gives you a certain type of swagger to show up in the world, and even to show out. You know, when you know who you are and where you come from and who's your people is. So your schools ain't responsible for teaching you who's your peoples is. When I hear people say, "I never learned that in school," you're not supposed to learn certain things in school. School is a indoctrination into the matrix. It's to help you get the skill sets to navigate the matrix. Now, if you want to learn about who you are, that you can't do that through that matrix, not the school matrix. You know, not the way it's set up currently. It's got to be rebooted. You know. So with that said, I also remember you talked to the guy that set up Fred Hampton. Now, now the guy who set up Fred Hampton, William O'Neill, he died. I think back in 1990. I didn't get a chance to talk to him, but who I talked to was Fred Hampton's friend, who was a lawyer named Jeffrey Haas. He was a Jewish American from Atlanta. He went to law school in Chicago. He was involved in movement work. He was inspired by Fred Hampton to start the People's Law Office. His office represented Fred Hampton, estate and family, in the civil trial against the state, where they won $1.85 million. $1.85 million for the families of Fred Hampton and Mark Clark in civil court back in the early 80s. He wrote the book called The Murder of Fred Hampton. Now, he said something that was interesting to me. He said, Brother Ron, the reason why we was able to get involved in the movement and stuff coming out of law school is because we didn't have that much student debt. We didn't have a lot of debt back then. When they were going to school back in the day, they didn't have a lot of student loan debt. So they was able to get involved early in things and young and try things and experiment and really to push the envelope. But now you coming out of school, you burdened with debt. You become a debt slave. Cause like I don't criticize people too harshly in terms because we all are slaves. We all got our vices and addictions and stuff like that. So I don't knock anybody because if you paying taxes, if you paying rent, if you paying for anything in this system, you a slave. You know, to be really free is a scary thing. Freedom means no social security. Freedom means no insurance. To be really free. So yeah, we all slaves by another name, man. But yeah, that was deep. That Jeffrey Haas conversation. Now I talked to Fred Hampton's brother as well, his big brother. His whole immediate family, they passed on to glory. I talked to his mom on the phone briefly. Uh, I thank her for raising a son like Fred Hampton. And a lot of people don't know that Fred Hampton mom used to babysit Emmett Till. So this woman witnessed the death of young black boys and black males a lot in her life, a lot of trauma with that woman. She babysitted Emmett Till, and her biological son was Fred Hampton Sr. Can you speak on the people who set up Medgar Evers? Yes, I can, because Medgar Evers is a focus. Medgar Evers, the people I talk about tonight, whether it be Medgar Evers or Robert F. Williams or Malcolm X, a lot of black people didn't like them. A lot of black people didn't like Medgar Evers down in Jackson. You had some black people like the late. Man, I've been blessed to meet people who were working back from that time, who knew the people that a lot of us revered. They knew the inside stories and whatnot about them. Medgar Evers, if you read up on Medgar Evers, a lot of black people were afraid of Medgar Evers. They were afraid of him. Like his wife would talk about how Medgar would walk down the street and people would cross or walk down the sidewalk and people would cross the street to get away from him. Instead of acknowledging him, they would go across the street not to walk or say hello to him. And they'll do all types of stuff. And when Medgar got killed in front of his family, his wife, I believe I saw an interview where his wife said she was more upset with the black people, that she felt like didn't give him enough respect or the love that he deserved for fighting a battle on their behalf. But Medgar told her in so many words that, look, baby, there's no reason to be upset with these people because they don't really care if you are upset or not. And it hurts you in the long run to be upset with these people because it undermines you and how you show up and your health and all that. I'm paraphrasing. But he told her that, she shouldn't, that she shouldn't let these people get to her, right? But Meg, you had a thing called the Mississippi Sovereignty Commission, the White Citizen Council. Basically, the Mississippi Sovereignty Commission ran the Mississippi government, and they had prominent black people in the community as spies. Some of the people did it for free. They didn't even get paid or compensated for spying on black civil rights activists and freedom fighters. It was just like doing the yeah, boss, we sick, boss. Like people think about the boule, the black boule, the black boule does not serve black people. You can't have two masters. The black boule is in service of the king. Who's the king of the system? It's the white man. They serve the white man, a white man. A lot of the black boule people are white supremacists. They don't even know it. See, my thing about people is you could be a racist and not be a white supremacist. You could be a black person and be a white supremacist. You could be a racist who loves black people. I have encountered people who are racist but did right by me as a black man, as a black person. So I could say good things about them. You know, whatever people, because you can't be a hero to everybody. You got to be a villain to somebody. You a villain in somebody's story. I don't care how saintly, how good, how people did you wrong. You are a villain in somebody's story somewhere. Okay, that's how life works. You gotta sometimes you gotta play that villain role. It's like with me, in order to do good things for my people, black so-called black people, sometimes I gotta take the most unpopular stance. Like I support Trump. And a lot of black people hate Trump for whatever reason. But my reason for supporting Trump is not because I hate myself or black people. It's because I love myself and black people enough to know that this man is clearing the board to give us the chance to stand on our 10 toes down for us. The problem is that we don't have Malcolms and Medgar Evers and Robert F. Williams around that we could designate as leaders of those causes. But when they were alive, they were not appreciated by a whole bunch of black folk, especially so-called black organizations like the NAACP. So Medgar Evers was not even appreciated by the NAACP. Medgar Evers wrote to the leadership. See, he was the field secretary of the whole state of Mississippi. He had really no staff. Medgar Evers was a target. There was no other, he didn't have no support staff and all that. That was all on the East Coast, right? He wrote to the NAACP, he said, my life is in danger. I need a security detail. They did not give it to him. Then what happened? He get killed in front of his family at the age of 37. You know, Baba Dick Gregory was real close to Medgar Evers. He loved him like he was his blood brother. Dick Gregory was down there right before Medgar Evers was slain. What happened to him was that his son, Dick Gregory Jr., passed away sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS. So he was down there, like Dick would say, I was down there ready to die with my brother Medgar Evers. I was down there, I went down to Mississippi to die with Medgar Evers. And then Medgar Evers got the call from Lil, Dick's wife. He told Dick, man, you got to go back home, man. You lost your son. You need to be there with your wife. So Medgar drove Dick to the airport, I believe, in Memphis, and they cried because they knew that was going to be the last time that they saw each other. I feel like that's one part of the story. I talked to Dick about it, but um, years later, Barely Evers helped save the NACP back in the 90s, which became the president, I believe. And I believe that the NACP finally wrote a letter of apology to Merle Evers and her family for not providing the proper protection for Medgar Evers. So his own organization helped get him killed. And you also had the Black Spies of the Mississippi Sovereignty Commission. It's a documentary that came out that talked about that. I think the Spies of Mississippi or something like that. It came out on PBS. You probably could find it on YouTube. And I had a good friend, the late great Margaret Block, who was a dear friend of mine. She's a righteous ancestor. She was a poet, a civil rights activist, and a revolutionary. And she was from Cleveland, Mississippi. Her brother was Sam Block. He was a legend in SNCC. He was a field secretary for SNCC in Mississippi. He died under questionable circumstances, I believe, back in 2000 in Los Angeles. He was on his way to a SNCC anniversary, I believe, and they found him dead in his home, if I'm not mistaken. But Sister Margaret questioned what happened to her brother, and she passed on to glory back in 2015, and she told me that one of her family members was a prominent educator down there who was a spy who spied on people like Medgar Evers for the state of Mississippi, who took down people's license plates and everything. So the only way they could get you is by your people betraying you. The only way they could get Marcus Garvey was by black people betraying Marcus Garvey. The first FBI agent, the first black outside of Jacob Hoover, because he didn't acknowledge that he was black. I'm talking the one that claimed that okay, this is a color, this is a black. James Wormsley Jones. Look up Agent 800. He was a black FBI agent that was brought into Marcus Garvey's inner circle to bring him down. He was one of several black FBI agents, I believe, They infiltrated the United Negro Improvement Association and brought them down. And Baba Dick Gregory said it was a woman from Louisiana, Queen Mother Moore. Some of y'all know Queen Mother Moore as a civil rights legend, right? But Dick Gregory would say I don't know. Dick Gregory said a lot of interesting things about people, and he gets a pass. But he would say Queen Mother Moore was an agent that helped bring down Marcus Garvey. And Dick had information that a lot of us don't have information, don't have access to. He had it during his lifetime. Then, like I think about the weather patterns going on. It's weird weather where it be 60 degrees. It could be 60 degrees one day. The next day could be 6 degrees. Next day it could be snowing, ice, and everything like that. Then the next day it'd be 75 degrees. I remember going to Dick Gregory's homegoing celebration back in 2017, and William Cohen, the former defense secretary for Bill Clinton, was there. He was in the lobby, and I thought he was Jerry West. He looked like Jerry West. He had his height, looked like him. And let me see. I found out who he was. And I took a picture with him, and I remember reading online a speech he made back in the '90s that talked about that they do have the means to weaponize the weather. There are ways to weaponize the weather. He said it in a speech while he was Secretary of Defense under Clinton, and that was back in the '90s. Now imagine what they got now, because by heart, you know, they controlling the weather. There ain't no question about it. So that's the thing. But we gotta remember this. We could be our best friend or our worst enemy. We could be our best friend or worst enemy. So black folks did help in the demise of Medgar Evers, but they could not. What they say. What Fred Hampton say. You can kill a revolutionary, but you can't kill a revolution. Think about that. Ideas are powerful. Medgar Evers was powerful and is powerful. And yeah, I'm gonna say that. Yeah. So yeah, it was an inside job, and it didn't help that his employer did not give him proper security detail. And I said NACP. Robert F. Williams was the president of NACP in Monroe, North Carolina, and they distanced themselves from Robert F. Williams. It was a thing called the kissing case that he infamous kissing case where these two black boys, little school age, elementary black boys, they were kissed by this white girl, and they were punished by the Just Us system. They locked them up, threw away the key, and they was not going to leave prison until they were of a certain age. These kids were little babies. They were babies, elementary. And Robert F. Williams had a letter writing campaign. There was no social media back in the day. There was no email. He just sat at a typewriter writing letters, sending out to different agencies and individuals to bring attention to what was going on in North Carolina. And by him doing that letter writing campaign got them little boys out of prison. Look up the kissing case. Why don't we talk about Robert F. Williams like we do Malcolm X, like we do Dr. King? Because he actually made it out his 30s. Like I said, he lived to be 70 years old. And if you talk about Robert F. Williams, it gives the people too much hope. Because people think that if you're going to change and be revolutionary as a black person in this country, you got to die young. And that's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. Like I said, Dr. King, like they lie about Dr. King being nonviolent. He was reasonable when it came to self-preservation. I'm sure that he was not going to be nonviolent and people put hands on his wife and children. And I wouldn't expect them to be nonviolent. That was a tactic for what they were trying to do. And what people don't understand is that the marches and stuff did not win any gains in the movement. What won in the movement was the boycott, the really the most important boycott that needs to be studied. The Montgomery bus boycott was an early victory, and it came not because of sympathetic white liberals from up north. It happened because black man, woman, and child got on the same page, and the paradigm shift. You had black people not riding the bus for 381 straight days. Black folks invented Uber and Lyft. You had black women before that bus boycott started. You had black women that were getting violated by white police officers and bus drivers down in Montgomery. When that boycott went on, that stopped. Immediately, it stopped. Black men escorting black women to and from workplace and home and whatnot. Black folks were on page. The black media supported the boycott. Black radio was sending coded messages to help with the logistics of the boycott. Dr. King talked about the powerful use of black radio during the bus boycott, doing a black DJ convention down in Atlanta, I believe, in 1967. Our media is not on the same page with us. You depend on Charlemagne the Gun. I mean, Leonard, whatever. Charlemagne the God. You think he will have the mindset to utilize his platform to help organize massive disruption of the system of business as usual? I don't know. I don't think so. He might have been one of the spies of Mississippi. I don't know the brother, but he's like a chameleon to me. He flipping, I don't know. He's a leopard that changes spots, whatever. Either here or there. But what I'm saying is, what Magic Johnson said, he was at a symposium for the Freedom Awards. The Freedom Awards is these awards given every year by the National Civil Rights Museum to certain iconic trailblazing pioneering figures. So that year they honored Magic Johnson, Dr. John Hope Franklin, and the sister who was the president of Liberia. So they did a symposium for the school age children to engage and interact with these honorees. And I remember Magic Johnson said, today we have more millionaires than we had in 1960. But in 1960, we had more black businesses. See, they let you know what progress was made. There was no progress like we think it was or thought it was. We had black businesses because we were forced to deal with each other because of the systemic apartheid and all this stuff going on at the time. See, we gotta be forced to work with each other. That's how we get our progress. Progress is not living with other people or going to their stores or living where they at or doing that. Progress comes when you deal with your own people to build something because y'all forced to deal with each other. This is the time now that we are being forced to deal with each other. I thank God for this time. This will be a golden age for black folk if some of us act right. And some of us are waking up. And that's the beautiful thing. But we need a leadership that we can trust to thrust us forward. We don't have that. All we have is Al Sharpton and some other people. We don't have a real leadership. I mean, leadership that oversees institutions that can help influence policy. Whereas we don't even have a Frederick Douglass. We don't have no Frederick Douglass. We don't have no Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune. We don't have no Ida B. Wells, Barnett. Where are the people that we could depend on? But then I talk about these people. A lot of people did not get a support from the black community or black people to do anything that would have lasting effect. A lot of times you got to go it alone when you try to advocate for black folk, and a lot of times you will be misunderstood by the people you try to represent in these so-called causes. A lot of times the people that you try to represent don't think that you need anything. They think they don't think that you need to make a living or pay bills or anything like that. He's just doing it for free. No, there's a cost to doing I'm talking about me now. There's a cost to doing this stuff. And sometimes you don't know. I didn't know all the things I was getting into doing the things I do. So you be by yourself a lot of times. A lot of lonely times, alone times. Not necessarily, you get to, for me, I thank God for the ancestors, ancestors, uncles, stars. I get a lot of my help from the dead. I access the energy because even today, February 1st, I had all types of dead people talking to me about, man, Brother Ron, they can't cancel us. We ain't going nowhere, Brother Ron. It's Black History. We ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. We can't be stopped. It's Black History for life. So they got my ear with Brother Ron. You got to put on for the people, and that's what I'm doing. I was about to say Willa Pugh. I want to have Willa Pugh. Why didn't he have Willa Pugh on back on my show? He don't like me right now, and that's another story. I like Willa Pugh. Him and my mom actually grew up. They actually, I think, attended kindergarten together. Him and my mom. He's from Memphis. Very talented man. We had a falling out, so I don't know if I'm ever gonna get him back on the show. But I hope he's doing all right because he out in the Pasadena area. Hopefully he's doing right. But I guess there's a sign from God that you bring him up. Then maybe I should check in on the brother because it was interesting when I first went out to L.A. I connected with him. It was like the way it went down. It could be a movie on Tubi, but that's not either here or there. But God bless him. I hope he's doing all right. Maybe that's my chance to check in because he lived in Pasadena. So hopefully his home is okay and all this stuff. But thank you for bringing them up. And remember, I'm gonna re-upload those videos I did with Willard Pugh on this channel because I'm shifting the stuff off of We All Be TV 1, and I'm gonna ship it to this Rumble TV and other outlets and platforms because YouTube had really did a number on my channel, my original channel. They removed a lot of videos of mine, demonetized the channel, did all types of things. So now I'm in the process of moving things over to be properly archived where, even if I've departed this place, hopefully I can have access to the stuff I did over the years. But YouTube messed up my first channel. But anyway, Willa Pugh, thank you for bringing him up. I thought about him the other day. Interesting life I lead. What about John Steeney? You mean George Steeney, the 14-year-old kid that got electrocuted by the state of South Carolina? That happened back in '44. I actually interviewed his cellmate as well as his brother, as well as a white man whose father it was a part of the search team looking for the two girls, and they even had George Steeney a part of that. There's like so many stories, man. We'll touch on George Steeney too. There's a couple of stories I'd like to touch on that's related to that happened even before George Steeney. Just we went through a lot of stuff as a people, man. But hmm, I guess I could wrap it up. I think I talked about Malcolm X. He had a cousin, I guess a cousin by marriage named Hakeem Jamal. They don't talk about Hakeem Jamal, but he's the co-founder of Kwanzaa along with Ron Karenga. He wrote a book about his relationship with Malcolm X. It's hard to find. It's out of print. I guess if you could find it, it costs probably $1,000 to get. I'm gonna try to find a PDF on it. But Hakeem Jamal, look about Hakeem Jamal. He's interesting. He got killed up in Boston back on May 1st, 1973. He wrote a book called From the Dead Level, Malcolm X and Me. That's out of print. If you can find that book, it's a rare book. It's worth a lot of money. Um, Malcolm X was interesting. He was a lot of things to a lot of people, different things. I never get tired of talking about Malcolm or studying Malcolm so much to glean from that. I was blessed to be able to meet people that work with Malcolm, even some of his relatives. Some of them listen to my show, including interviewing his nephew, Rodnell Collins. Hollywood did something interesting. It's like Bobby D. Gregory he dropped some knowledge on how they did Malcolm. They demeaned Malcolm. Hollywood did. Spike Lee movie, when they showed Malcolm X putting his head in that toilet, it was a way to try to demean him, emasculate him. And when Dick Gregory talked about it, I didn't even think about it at the time. But Hollywood, when they normally make movies about our people, our heroes or she-rules, they try to find a way to demean them, to make them look smaller than what they were, to make them to slight them, and for this to be a everlasting memory in the public consciousness. Like that movie Malcolm X, it was good, but it was problematic. I like what Ozzie Davis said in a documentary. He said, I hope on one day that Spike Lee could do another version of Malcolm X. Like, yeah, that's an interesting version of Malcolm, but you could do another version of Malcolm once you get some more experience on this different look on his legacy. And I think that's very important because that movie has misled, bamboozled some people. It's like the character Minister Baines, he didn't exist. So when people, I remember when back in the day, I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. It came out when I was about 12 years old. Had the X head. I try to wear my glasses, try to look like Malcolm X. It was interesting. But, they made up the character Minister Baines. And then the fact that it was Malcolm's family, like A.L.L and people like that, they got him into the Nation of Islam to begin with. It was no Minister Baines. But he had an inmate that helped get him on the debate team. He was an interesting guy. I'm trying to look up his name. Malcolm X. Let's type in anyway. Bimby. This guy named Bimby. Yeah, Bimby, who played a role in Malcolm X's development as an intellectual, as a scholar, as a debater. Let's see. Hmm. Name was John Elton Bembry, but they call him Bimby. And Malcolm X talked about him in his autobiography. To Malcolm X, he was Bimby, a man whose influence played a significant role in altering the life path of the famed Muslim minister and human rights activist. As Malcolm X wrote in his autobiography, Bimby was the first man I have ever seen command total respect with his words. So this dude is the nephew of the guy who helped influence Malcolm X. He wrote an article about his uncle back on February 20th, 2020. Hmm. They said they described him to the officials in Massachusetts Department of Corrections. He was prisoner number 22138, a tall, slender, light mulatto whose personality was described by his prison caseworker as intelligent, studious, influential among other colored inmates. Hmm. To society, he was a career criminal, a man with a lengthy arrest record that extended coast to coast. Some charges were legit, breaking and entering, others loitering, vagrancy, likely the result of him simply being a black man in America. But that's the guy. Why not have that guy instead of a so-called Minister Baines? Have the Bimby character, who was an actual real guy that Malcolm knew that helped him to become a better student and scholar and debater. Because he was on the debate team. See, they make up stuff in Hollywood, but they could tell the truth about black people. To tell the truth about our experience and stories is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Because to tell the truth about us, we are extraordinary people. We the chosen. Black American natives are the chosen. That's what it sounds like to me. Bands make you dance. Look how dance. We just unique people. So I'm about to wrap this up. I think I talked enough about, but yeah, but when people talk about the families of these people, they patriarchs were taken away from the family at early ages, and so the kids are gonna be messed up. They don't know who to trust. Just like with the King thing, the King family. People tell me why they want to look at the records about their dad and let it out. Okay, yeah, but they've been through a lot of trauma. Because you gotta understand that the government was watching the King family before Dr. King was born. There was an article that came out years ago. Three generations of Dr. King's family was watched by the federal government, and this happened before he was born. So imagine being Dr. King, this prodigy going to Morehouse when he's about 15 and whatnot, and your classmates, your teachers could all be spies for the government, spying on you. And I know a lot of people are very critical of Dr. King these days. I believe he meant well. You know, he didn't have all the answers. He didn't have all the answers. I think he meant well, and he was trying to do right by the people at the end and shot him in the face. So I'm not gonna be too hard on Dr. King because I said we all slaves. If we're paying taxes, if we're paying rent, we're buying groceries, we eating at McDonald's, you know, we paying for insurance, we are slaves. None of us are free. None of us. We can be free, but that's a scary thing to actually be free. You understand what I'm saying? Overstand, understand, any stand. But I guess that will be it for tonight for pondering. I think I gave y'all enough. I talked about Robert F. Williams. I talked about Malcolm X. I talked about Medgar Evers. Uh, I'm looking forward to seeing what Trump dumped. I don't want this stuff to be redacted. That's another thing with the Trump thing. I want to talk about with black people because Trump, like Mr. Farrakhan, was on a radio show recently, I believe. He broke it down beautifully about Trump. He said Trump is taking on the institutions that have terrorized black people for generations. I'm paraphrasing, but I'm saying he's dismantling the FBI. You know, Cash Patel, they cleaning up house in the FBI. Get rid of all because they weaponized the FBI and the Department of Justice against Trump, a former president and billionaire white man. So if they could do that to a billionaire white dude who was a former president, I think Trump is more empathetic to black men and black people in general who went through the justice system. Because now he's saying, well, they could do this to me. I knew they've been catching hell. So I mean, all this about the Central Park Five, he wasn't even in power when it was going on. He had a op-ed, whatever, and he didn't make the decision to put them boys through hell. They parents failed them. The system failed them. But Donald Trump wasn't the issue. Then y'all talking about what he housing discrimination. Then didn't one of the former Black Panthers say that Donald Trump gave them affordable housing for their headquarters in New York? See, balance the stuff out. Balance like what y'all like to feed on, that junk food, MSNBC and CNN. Balance it out with other stuff too to come to your own conclusions about things. Because there's a good and bad side to everybody. But okay, his organization may have discriminated against black folks, but he provided affordable housing for the Black Panther Party in New York. So the thing about it is, uh, he damn if he do, damn if he don't. And then when people talk about he trying to get rid of black people, I said, y'all listen to his inauguration speech. I was on the road listening to his speech, about 30-minute speech. He made sure that he mentioned that he owes black people. He'll never forget the black people that voted for him or black Americans voted for him. Basically saying, I see you. I acknowledge what you did for me. And I want to help you guys out. I want to help get rid of all these illegal immigrants and all this stuff so y'all can have a fair chance at getting what y'all want because the DEI did not help black people like that. Affirmative action did not help black people like that. It helped everybody. It helped white women, especially more than anybody. It helped white women who should not be considered minorities by any stretch of the imagination. But it did not help black people like that. So when they make everything the black face, it's like even when they take the word woke. Woke is not a bad thing, but they bastardize it so much in the white stream media. They got y'all thinking that to be woke is something negative when it's not. They just take all our stuff and bastardize it. It's time to reclaim woke. It's time to reclaim a lot of things. Woke is not a bad word. It's not a bad term. The way they apply it is bad. To really what they talking about is not even being woke, it's sleepwalking. How they apply woke is to sleepwalking. So woke means to be aware, alert, to have self-awareness, to recognize what's going on. See, with Donald Trump being in there, it's not a distraction. It's helping folks to focus. People saying, what he said about the 14th Amendment? Let me research that. Did he say that about DEI causing plane crashes? Let me research what's really going on with air trafficking. This is making people aware. That's why he's a threat to the matrix, is because not that he's trying to be a fascist dictator or be some type of god. It's the fact that he's bringing people, making people aware that the game has been rigged for a while. It's like that Dave Chappelle skit he did on Saturday Night Live, where Trump was in the house with everybody just bamboozling, raiding the coffers and all that. He come outside, said, I want to let everybody know what's going on there. They rigging everything. And I'm gonna go back to the regularly scheduled program. But at least I was a friend and let y'all know they was rigging and taking and just looting everything. And my thing is, a lot of us can't handle the truth. We get all in our emotions about stuff. Y'all worry about the wrong stuff that's not even important. Y'all make it the prime thing. Get woke again, folk. Get woke, folk. He is not our problem. Our problem is that we don't have leadership that we could trust to do right by us. We don't have leadership that advocate for us like Israel does. They have APAC. NACP ain't worried about us. They getting money from Wells Fargo to do their image awards. The same Wells Fargo that foreclosed on all these black folks' home over the bullshit loans. So we don't have no friend if the person staring back at you from the mirror ain't your friend and doesn't love you. We have no friends. So what we got to do is stop with the crap. See, y'all not gonna defeat me. What we ain't gonna do, you ain't gonna shut me down. Nah, this is the time I speak up and speak out and speak truth to the power. Oh yeah, you right on time. You always do the rerun, man. I got the rerun. You can always do the rerun back. We just about to wrap it up, but thank you for tuning out to tune in to get in where you fit in. But what I'm saying is that enough of this mess. I'm tired of these old folks. It's like these tired people. The protests did not get the job. The movement, the marches and stuff did not work. Y'all want to live the 60s. We need to be thinking about what they were doing, how they were getting set off in the 30s. Then I talk about Kwame Ture. He said, we were burning stuff down. They would got legislation passed. Them burning stuff down like the L.A. fires. It was no getting no permit in City Hall. I'm gonna get a permit in City Hall to protest what they doing. If you protesting, it's not business as usual. You don't get no permit. That's not a protest. That's a parade. That's a rally. That's a rally. That's a parade. It's not a protest. Protest mean we gonna tear some stuff up, tear the club up, law be down. It's like gun laws only work for law-abiding citizens. It doesn't work for the criminals. It doesn't work for the cartels. But what Trump doing? I declare war on the cartels. I declare war. What he doing? I'm securing the borders. What he doing? He getting people out of here. They didn't come here like they should have. What he did? Birthright, 14th Amendment was for black people. He's acknowledging that black people exist. That's why y'all hate him, that he acknowledged that black people exist. Black Americans exist. That he acknowledged that black Americans deserve to have something. Trump ain't no dummy. The thing about it, look what's happening. Cash Patel. They trying to clip the FBI. Tulsi Gabbard. They trying to do better with our intelligence. RFK. Trying to make us, we never been healthy, but make us healthier again. Trying to clean up the FDA and all that stuff. Donald Trump, the thing about it is, Donald Trump has an army. He is smart because you're talking about somebody gonna do something to him. He got about 1,600 people that's in his army. He got a standing army. I talked to military folk. A lot of them rock with Trump. A lot of them down with Trump. He got people, so it's not gonna be a cakewalk to get him. And the thing about it is, Trump was sent by God to do this. It's not a punishment to me. It's a wake up call. It's time for us to get in where we fit in and to do what we got to do. Because don't tell me you want a Malcolm X and Medgar Evers and Robert F. Williams when you aborting all the babies. You see, the ancestors be trying to come back. The ancestors, they've been trying to come back. We keep on killing them off. Then you say, why are we catching this hell? Because we deserve to catch hell. Because we abort our legacies. We abort the people that's trying to make their way back to their people. Don't tell me about where it's Ida B. Wells when you won't let her live in the womb to come back. Don't tell me about no Malcolm X and all that. And another thing, the Negro Project with Margaret Sanger. A lot of our black leadership uh, did business with them or connected with them. Malcolm X was interviewed by the Planned Parenthood people. He told them, they were asking him how to market to the black community. Dr. King got the Margaret Sanger Award back in '66, I believe. I believe his wife Coretta accepted it on his behalf. You got the Negro Project. They connected with Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune. A lot of our so-called leading lights. My thing about eugenics is interesting is that it's a recent phenomenon that was not invented by Nazi America, but by America. You had states that were sterilizing black people and poor people and so-called feeble-minded people without their consent. This is not Nazi Germany. This is America. What do you think Germany learned how to do what they do? They learned it from America. So what I'm saying is, okay, what are you saying, bro? Okay, something about black people. RFK was working with the Nation of Islam. They were protesting the CDC, I believe. I like RFK Jr. The fact that his family members don't like him, some of his prominent family members don't like him, mean that he's good. And Democrats really are weird to me because they had at one point Donald Trump, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr., and Elon Musk. They were all Democrats, and now they crying about it. Yeah, America funded the Nazis. Yeah, who do Operation Paperclip? They brought the Nazis over here to do the space program and the CIA. Yeah, of course, America funds is terrorists. You got to think about the guy who planted Pearl Harbor, Admiral Yamamoto. He went to Harvard. He was a guest of the state. He went to Harvard University, and then we trained him how to fly planes. They were not trying to train black folks how to fly planes. Look at the story of the Tuskegee Airmen, how much hell they caught trying to fly planes for Uncle Sam. They trained a guy who masterminded the Pearl Harbor attack. They gave him a college education at Harvard, and they trained him how to fly planes. Who are we fighting during the Civil War? These were graduates of West Point and stuff. United States trained their traitors. United States trained their terrorists. And what Trump is doing, he's showing the transparency and the hypocrisy of it all. That's why he's necessary. He's showing transparency as well as the hypocrisy of it all. The FBI killed Dr. King. The gun that killed Dr. King came from the FBI. The FBI set up Marcus Garvey. FBI went after Jack Johnson. FBI helped kill Fred Hampton in his bed while he was sleeping next to his pregnant fiance. Trump is trying to get rid of the toxic leadership in the FBI. He don't like black people. He get rid of the people in charge of institutions that have terrorized black people for generations. He don't like black folk. He trying to get rid of income tax. The IRS used their income tax invasion crap against who? Against black people. They couldn't get Al Capone for murder in the courts, but they got him for income tax evasion. Think about Peebo Bryson. Peebo, the singer, they took his Grammys. The IRS. Shit. IRS probably helped Fred Sumter. Red Fox have a heart attack. Sammy Davis Jr. owed him money. The IRS, all that stuff he did for people. Joe Louis was destroyed by the IRS. Man, used to give away money, raise money for Uncle Sam, give away boxing tickets and stuff, and they destroyed Joe Louis. He was a real patriot. I think I read a story where Joe Louis paid back the relief he got. I guess the welfare he got from the government. He paid it back. Was fighting for Uncle Sam. He helped get Jackie Robinson to officer school during World War II. He helped put in a good word for Jackie Robinson. They were real close. But Joe Louis was a patriot that was destroyed by this evil system. They destroyed Joe Louis. The feds are so ruthless, they destroyed Joe Louis. But now I said feds so ruthless, they destroyed Joe Louis. Feds so ruthless, they destroyed Joe Louis. And you wonder why Muhammad Ali didn't want to fight for Uncle Sam? Even though he wasn't fighting on the front lines, he didn't want no part of it. Look what they did to Joe Louis. Look what the government did to the great Paul Robeson. Donald Trump doing God work. But anyway, to Ho Chi Minh. Ho Chi Minh was interesting. Him and Malcolm shared the same birthday of May the 19th. Ho Chi Minh was a fan of Marcus Garvey. Ho Chi Minh used to come to America to listen to Marcus Garvey speak. This is the leader of the Viet Cong, right? Ho Chi Minh. He wanted to meet with Woodrow Wilson post World War I, but Woodrow Wilson wouldn't meet with him. Probably if Woodrow Wilson had met with Ho Chi Minh, there would probably have been no Vietnam War. Who knows? Anyway, our fingerprints everywhere. And also, bringing up Queen Mother Moore, she was from Louisiana. Marcus Garvey's biggest support base was Louisiana. When he was deported from America, from the United States, he went down to New Orleans to go back to Jamaica. So he had strong support in Louisiana. Anyway, you like the words from you heard from Brother Herb, please spread the word. Support the movement. You could cash out your support $ R2C2H2. You could PayPal and Zelle your support R2C2H2 at gmail.com. Vimo at R2C2H2. Okay, Apple Cash 901-299-4355. Or even join our Patreon, patreon.com/WeAllB. If you like to send it in snail mail, your money order and whatnot, this is what you need to do. Changes. Attention, Ronald Hurd II. The We All Be Group Incorporated, P.O. Box 752062, Memphis, Tennessee 38175. Once again, that's attention, Ronald Hurd II. The We All Be Group Incorporated, P.O. Box 752062, Memphis, Tennessee 38175. This is a nonprofit donation. It's tax deductible, man. We are a recognized 501c3. Also, subscribe to our backup channel, rumble.com, We All Be TV. That's rumble.com, rumble.com / We All Be TV. That does it, I guess, for tonight. Tonight is the night. Tonight is the night. Tonight. You can also buy artivist art to wear at our Teespring location. Y'all see it at the bottom right there. Buy some artivist art. We're going to do some more promotion as it relates to that. And that does it for tonight. Thank you all for tuning out to tune in to get in where you fit in. So We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. One love. Can you dig it? Yes, you can. Yes, you can.